They told you life is about what happens to you. They were wrong. Life is not a series of accidents strung together by fate. Life is the mirror of your mind. Every triumph, every failure, every closed door and every golden opportunity is first born in thought. Long before a man stands on the summit, he has climbed it 1,000 times in his imagination. Long before a woman builds an empire, she has walked its marble halls in her mind, feeling the walls beneath her fingertips, tasting the air of her own creation. Napoleon Hill once said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Those words have been repeated so often they risk losing their power, until you stop and understand what they mean. It is not poetry. It is not a pretty saying to hang on a wall. It is a law. As true as gravity. As exact as the sunrise. Thought is the seed. Belief is the water. Action is the sunlight. Without the seed, nothing grows. Without belief, the seed dies. Without action, it starves in the dark. History bows to those who have mastered their thoughts. Edison did not simply wish for light, he held the picture of it in his mind until the world had no choice but to match it. Carnegie did not wait for steel fortunes to knock on his door, he imagined the empire first, then built the scaffolding of his future with unshakable certainty. Henry Ford did not ask if the world wanted a car, he thought of a faster future, believed it was possible, and then dared to force it into reality. Yet here is the tragedy, most people guard their money more carefully than they guard their thoughts. They will not let a stranger take $5 from their wallet, but they will let the opinions of doubters steal the riches of their mind. They will scroll for hours through the noise of other people's lives, planting weeds in the garden of their own potential. Hill warned us, "You are the master of your destiny." You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be. That is not comfort. That is responsibility. Because if you can, you must. Your mind is the forge where reality is shaped. When you think thoughts of fear, the iron cools, the shape weakens, and life delivers you the small, fragile version of what you could have had. When you think with courage, you strike the iron hot, again and again, until it becomes unbreakable. Clarity is your hammer. Discipline is your anvil. And vision is the fire. Most drift through life with no vision at all. They let their circumstances pilot the ship, the winds of opinion pushing them from one distraction to the next. But Hill knew, a definite purpose is the master key. You cannot hit a target you cannot see. You cannot arrive at a destination you have never charted. The world yields to the man or woman who moves with intention, because their very presence makes the air bend to their direction. Think of Lincoln in the dark hours of the Civil War, surrounded by division, doubt, and the weight of a nation's survival pressing on his chest. What kept him from breaking? A vision, clear, unshaken, of a united country. Think of Disney, bankrupt, laughed at, told his ideas were impossible. What kept him moving? The image in his mind of a kingdom where imagination reigned, a place he could see so clearly that others eventually saw it too. Your life is clay. The mind is the potter. But you must decide what shape to give it. If you tell yourself you are unlucky, the mind will gather every scrap of proof to confirm it. If you tell yourself you are powerful, resourceful, and worthy, the mind will conspire with life to prove it true. This is not mysticism, it is psychology, as old as the human spirit. Your dominant thoughts become your identity. Your identity becomes your behavior. Your behavior becomes your results. And here lies the secret Hill wrote for those with the courage to read between the lines. You do not have to wait for life to change in order to change your thoughts. You change your thoughts first, and life will follow. The man who wakes up and speaks gratitude over his life, even in hardship, carries himself differently. The woman who refuses to entertain the whispers of self-doubt moves through the day with a force that bends obstacles out of her path. It is not magic, it is momentum. It is the compounding of belief into action, action into habit, habit into destiny. So guard your mind as if it were the vault of a great treasure, because it is. Do not let idle talk plant seeds of limitation in your soil. Do not let failure write the chapters of tomorrow. You have the pen. You have always had the pen. And when you master your thoughts, when you take full command of the pictures you allow to dwell in your mind, you will find the external world beginning to reshape itself in ways so subtle at first they will seem like coincidence. But there is no coincidence, only the silent architecture of thought at work. When you begin to notice the world shifting in your favor, resist the temptation to think it is luck. Luck is the name the unprepared give to the prepared. It is the label people use when they do not want to admit someone has mastered the silent war within the mind. Napoleon Hill made it plain, you are what you think about. If that is true, and it is, then every careless thought is a thief. Every thought of doubt, every indulgence in fear, is a small robbery of your future self. Belief is not something you wait to have until the evidence shows up. Belief is the evidence. It is the down payment you make before the universe delivers the deed. Think of the Wright brothers, standing on a beach in Kitty Hawk, staring at a contraption of wood and canvas that no one believed could fly. They had no proof, no data, no crowds cheering them on. They had only belief, belief that a man could ride the wind like a bird, belief that the impossible was merely the untried. And it was that belief that kept them building, crashing, rebuilding, adjusting, until one day, the world looked up and saw proof in the sky. You will never outperform the boundaries of your own mind. If you believe you can only earn enough to survive, you will. If you believe you can become the best in your field, you will. If you believe your past defines you, it will. The mind builds the walls or tears them down. But belief without discipline is like a fire without oxygen, it burns bright for a moment, then dies. Hill wrote about definiteness of purpose, but he also warned about persistence. The unglamorous, repetitive, daily labor of moving toward a goal when the world is silent, when the applause has stopped, when the inspiration has cooled. Discipline is doing the thing long after the mood has left you. It is the soldier in winter, still marching when the wind cuts like knives. It is the craftsman perfecting the detail no one else will notice. It is the athlete running the extra mile when the stands are empty. Andrew Carnegie did not rise from a poor immigrant boy to the richest man of his era by accident. Every day was a calculated strike toward a vision. Every decision was weighed against the purpose. Discipline was the spine that held the dream upright. Do not think discipline is punishment, it is liberation. It is the quiet assurance that no matter what the day throws at you, you will not betray yourself. It is self-respect in motion. And when discipline is married to belief, the impossible becomes inevitable. Because belief fuels action, and discipline sustains it. But there is a third ally, vision. Without vision, belief drifts. Without vision, discipline becomes routine without meaning. Vision is the North Star. It is the image in your mind so vivid that it pulls you forward through fog and storm. It does not matter if the road is hidden, vision whispers that the road exists. It is the cathedral in the architect's mind before the first stone is laid. It is the novel in the author's imagination before a single word is written. Hill understood this when he said, "First comes thought, then organization of that thought into ideas and plans, then transformation of those plans into reality." But here's the truth they do not teach in school: the transformation will test you. It will strip away the weak parts of you. It will ask you to become someone new, someone sharper, someone stronger, before it hands you the thing you seek. Walt Disney once said that he could never convince the financiers about Disneyland until he had built it in his mind so completely that he could walk through it in imagination. Vision so clear it becomes real to you, that is the kind of vision that bends reality until it matches your inner picture. But vision alone is not enough. You must marry it to action. Relentless, daily, courageous action. The world is full of dreamers who die with their music still in them. They had the vision but not the will to step into it. They waited for perfect conditions that never came. They feared judgment, rejection, the risk of falling short, and so they lived short. Action is the test of belief. If you truly believe in something, you will move toward it, even if every step is uphill, even if no one claps, even if the outcome is uncertain. The person who acts despite fear is the person the world cannot ignore. Look at Thomas Edison again. He didn't fail 10,000 times to invent the light bulb. He discovered 10,000 ways that didn't work. Every failure was an action, a step, a refinement. It was forward motion disguised as defeat. That is the mindset you must take. Every action either brings you the result you want or the lesson you need. Nothing is wasted unless you quit. And here is where most stop. They confuse delay with denial. They believe because the goal hasn't arrived yet, it is impossible. But Hill's words echo, most great people have attained their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure. The last mile is the hardest. The darkest hour comes before the dawn, and most never see it because they stopped walking. Resilience is the mark of the rare. It is the unshakable quality that separates those who talk about their dreams from those who live them. Napoleon Hill observed it again and again. The winners were not always the fastest, the smartest, or the most gifted. They were the ones who refused to stay down when the world tried to bury them. Life will hit you. Not once, not twice, but again and again, testing the depth of your resolve. It will come as rejection letters, as closed doors, as betrayals, as sudden storms in the seasons you thought would be sunny. And in those moments, the ordinary surrender. They call it fate. They call it bad luck. They call it the end. But the resilient? They call it a lesson. They call it a forge. They call it an opportunity to grow teeth where before they only had a smile. Abraham Lincoln lost election after election before becoming president. He faced personal loss so deep it would have broken most men, yet he rose to lead a fractured nation. Why? Because his vision was greater than his pain. Because he understood that defeat is temporary, but surrender is permanent. This is why adaptability is the twin sister of resilience. It is not enough to withstand the blows, you must learn to dance with them. To shift when the ground changes beneath your feet, to bend without breaking. Rigid minds shatter when reality changes. Flexible minds transform setbacks into springboards. Henry Ford's first 2 automobile companies failed. The world told him to quit. Instead, he adapted, refining his ideas, cutting costs, perfecting the assembly line until the dream that had failed twice became an unstoppable machine that transformed industry forever. This is the essence of Hill's teaching. Obstacles are not walls, they are detours to a better route. They force you to grow sharper, more resourceful, more inventive than you would have been had the path been smooth. But there is a secret weapon that makes resilience and adaptability unbreakable: gratitude. Not the hollow kind that only shows up when life is easy, but the fierce gratitude that can stand in the middle of the storm and still find the beauty in the rain. Gratitude shifts the mind from scarcity to abundance. When you give thanks for what you have, you stop feeding the thoughts that weaken you. You stop staring at what's missing and start recognizing what's possible. Napoleon Hill said, "The man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does." This is gratitude in action. It is the willingness to pour yourself into the work, the relationship, the craft, not because the world has already rewarded you, but because the act itself is a reward. Gratitude does not blind you to hardship, it sharpens your sight to the opportunities buried inside it. The entrepreneur who loses a client but thanks the experience for revealing weak points in their system gains the power to improve. The artist who fails in one style but is grateful for the freedom to try another finds new creative fire. Gratitude keeps bitterness from poisoning your focus. It reminds you that even in the seasons of lack, you still hold the richest resource of all, the ability to think, to imagine, to act. And when gratitude fuels your thoughts, your resilience strengthens. Because you no longer fight against life, you work with it, bending, shifting, finding new paths through the rubble. You become like water, unbreakable because you cannot be contained. But here's the truth, gratitude, resilience, adaptability, they are not moods. They are habits. They are forged by daily choice, by the decision to return again and again to the high ground of thought when the floodwaters rise. Hill's words whisper through time, every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. The seed is always there, but you must be the gardener. You must water it with belief, warm it with vision, protect it with discipline, and harvest it with action. And when the harvest comes, when the results appear, you will know they were not the product of luck or circumstance. They were the reflection of a mind mastered. A mind that refused to surrender its throne to fear, to doubt, to the opinions of those who settled for less. Because at the heart of all of Hill's teaching is this truth: you are the ruler of your own mental kingdom. Guard it. Shape it. Expand it. And it will give you the world in return. The time will come when you stand at the edge of everything you've known, staring into the distance of what you could be. You will feel the weight of your old life clinging to your ankles, whispering, "Stay here. It's safe." You will hear the voices of the doubters echoing in your mind, reminding you of every stumble, every scar, every reason you should not dare to cross that threshold. And in that moment, you will have a choice. Not between comfort and discomfort. Not between the known and the unknown. But between living as the architect of your destiny, or the tenant of someone else's design. Napoleon Hill's greatest gift was not just his words, it was the mirror he held up to every reader. In that mirror, he forced us to see that we are both the jailer and the prisoner, the sculptor and the clay, the king and the servant. And that freedom, true freedom, comes when we master the throne of thought. Thought is the origin of every empire. Thought is the blueprint of every masterpiece. Thought is the seed of every revolution, personal or global. The battle is not out there. The battle is here, between the ears, in the quiet moments, in the unseen decisions that stack upon one another until they become a life. What you choose to dwell on, you will become. If you dwell on limits, you will live in a cage whose bars you built yourself. If you dwell on possibilities, you will find doors in walls others swear cannot be opened. Edison saw light where others saw darkness. Disney saw castles where others saw swamps. Ford saw highways where others saw dirt roads. Lincoln saw unity where others saw division. Carnegie saw skylines where others saw empty fields. And you must decide what you will see. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for signs written in the clouds. The sign is in you, it always has been. It is the persistent thought that refuses to die, the vision that visits you in quiet hours, the dream that feels less like a wish and more like a responsibility. But remember, vision without action is hallucination. Belief without discipline is daydreaming. Desire without resilience is surrender in slow motion. You will be tested. The storms will come, not to destroy you, but to reveal what you are made of. The fire will burn, not to consume you, but to refine you. Every setback will ask the same question: do you still want it? And your answer must be action. Always action. There will be days when you wake up and the dream feels distant. Work anyway. There will be nights when you feel the exhaustion in your bones. Plan anyway. There will be weeks when nothing seems to move. Push anyway. Because persistence, as Hill taught, is the difference between those who almost make it, and those who do. Your breakthrough will not announce itself in advance. It will not send you a letter to warn you it is near. It will come disguised as another ordinary day, and if you stop, you will miss it. So hold the vision. Guard the mind. Feed it only with thoughts that strengthen you, that elevate you, that pull you forward into the life you know is yours. Cut away the noise. Silence the inner critic. Replace every "I can't" with "how can I," and every "it's impossible" with "it's inevitable." Because in the end, mastery of thought is mastery of life. You are not at the mercy of circumstance, you are the author of it. And when you understand this, truly understand it, the chains fall away. You stop waiting. You stop wishing. You start creating. Hill's voice still rings through the decades. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Not for some. Not for the lucky. For anyone with the courage to think, to believe, and to act without surrender. So take the throne of your mind. Write the script of your destiny. Think the thoughts that build empires, heal divisions, light the darkness. And when the world asks who gave you the right, you answer with the life you've built. Because there is no greater proof than a dream made real. And there is no greater tragedy than a dream left to die in the silence of unmastered thought. The power is yours. It always has been. Now, claim it.